So, a quick pop-up on Harriet Backer. I really struggled with what to do for Harriet Backer. I wanted to have a pop-up that wasn't going to be too laborious and take too long. And a lot of her work is very detailed. I love the detail and I love the lighting and the colors. And we had done a color study of Hilma af Klint, so I really struggled with what to do. And what I've decided to do in the end is I kept getting drawn back to this painting here. Where's the full version of it? Here. That I saw at d'Orsay. It was one of her still lifes with the puffin jug, the flowers, the plants, and these, I don't know, apples in the foreground. And I have some beautiful detail photos that I took of them when I was at d'Orsay. So I thought I would work from one of those. I keep getting drawn to this one here. And I really love the looseness and the brushwork of it. So I've decided to do a little study, pretty much to the size of my image here on my tab. I've just masked off an area. I have my gouache and my neo colors. She worked in oils, and going down the track for myself, I'll probably do some studies in oils, but for the purpose of this and keeping it quick, I just thought I'd work with some other media just to explore a few things in her piece that I'm noticing. One of the things that really pops to me when I look at this is just the looseness, the really loose brushwork and the suggestiveness of the apples. As I've been looking at it, ready to sort of paint it, I'm noticing they're not even filled in. Oops. So here you can see that it's not closed off. You can see through this apple to the one behind. There's like gorgeous lost edges where the apple is reflecting the table, and it doesn't really matter, like there's no edge definition there. Again, here it's all very suggestive, but it looks really beautiful. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give this a go and see how it goes. I'm not going to talk while I do it because this is the first time I've been able to do this in about 2 weeks because it's been raining here, and where I shoot, it's been leaking water. So it's dry today, but it's very hot, so I'm going to put a noisy fan on, and also there's some street work going on, and nobody wants to listen to that. I think there's going to be jackhammers and cement saws and things. So look at this pop of green. I didn't even notice that before. Like looking at the piece, pop of green. You can see it's repeated up here in some of the brighter of the green, and there's a little bit over here, but I hadn't noticed it down there on the fruit. So there you go. The joys of looking. Look at all the beautiful colors in that background on the curtain that are sort of like these tulips kind of almost vanish into that. It's just beautiful. These flowers, looks like that could be an iris or something, and some tulips. Just beautiful. So I'm going to work from this photo here and just have a play. I'm not going to be worrying about exact colors. I'll be more interested in the relationship between the colors. I'm interested in the brushwork and the suggestive nature of it, the speed, the bravado of it, the lost and found edges, the dabs of color. So let's see how we go with this. Okay, so I've decided to speed this up a bit for you. It is at 4 times the speed that I painted it in, just to give you an idea. I tried to work pretty fast with this because I wanted that looseness of brushwork and the marks, but I was also sort of like limited to both the looking and the drying time of the media because I'm using gouache here, and I'm starting out relatively thin and then sort of building it up a bit. And to layer with the gouache, you really kind of needed to let it dry a bit, which I didn't because I just wanted to keep painting and get the study done. But I did find that later on you'll see that I bring in the neo color, and that works quite well over the top of the gouache to get that sense of, you know, the bits of color and stuff going down. So really what I'm looking at when I'm doing this is just trying to figure out, I guess in a way, her way of working, why she did things in a certain way, rather than trying to learn this particular piece. I'm doing the copy so that I can sort of get into her head a bit of how she may, what her thought process is when she's painting a bit. And I'm always thinking about my partner, who's a jazz musician, and when they do their solos, it's improvisation. It's in the moment improvisation, but that in the moment improvisation is drawing on a practice of studying and dissecting and pulling apart and learning the solos of other artists, other jazz musicians. They will literally transcribe solos, they will learn them, they will examine them, and so on. Not so that when they are performing, they can replicate and reproduce the solos that they've studied, but so that they can get into the mindset and the headspace and the thought processes of that musician and draw on that in their own work so that they can expand that conversation that jazz improvisation is. They may pay homage to another artist or even quote another artist sometimes in their solos, but in that moment, all of that work of not just doing musical scales, but of dissecting and studying other solos is what they draw on in what seems intuitive. And intuition is really that drawing of everything that you've put in your creative well, all of your personal taste, your experience, your practice, your materials, your preferences, your education, what you've seen, what you feel, everything. That's all in there composting so that when you are actually doing your own creative flow, you can pull on that in a very personal way, but there's something that it's pulling from. It's got this rich soil of all of these things, including the practice that makes skill, the practice that helps you to in the moment make those decisions in what might feel seamless because you have enriched and fed and nurtured your creative well. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm trying to enrich my creative well, and I do find that studying this piece in this way, I've made a few distinctions in the way not only Harriet Backer works, but in ways that I can then take into my own work and let that sort of happen organically when I do. So you can see that I'm mixing my material back and forth between the gouache and the Neocolor 2. The gouache is a great medium to use for a study, but it does require allowing it to dry so that you can layer it up a bit better. But I'm working quite fast here and I'm not really allowing it to dry, so the Neocolor is giving me a more of a solid color over the top and allowing me to move faster. It is the Neocolor 2, so it is water soluble, which means that the wet brush or the gouache paint when I come in is able to make it to activate it and allow it to be moved around a little bit so it can become a bit painterly and brushy, and the two mediums sort of mix together quite nicely. I haven't used these two materials together like this before, and I found they worked really well. And that's another bonus of doing these little master studies or detailed studies, is it gets you moving, when you're not quite sure what to do. So it can be a great warm-up that you can do at the beginning of your session before you then go in and do your own painting. But it also gives you an opportunity to play with different materials and learn a little bit more about all of that, as well as just warming up your brushwork and your hand-eye coordination, and you're looking and you're thinking and all those sorts of things. So we're coming towards where I decide that I've gotten out of this what I need to get out of it, and there's no need for me to keep going once I feel like I have gotten what I need, because that's what it's all about, the study, not the copying. So I'll be checking back in with you with my thoughts that occurred to me as I was working after I had finished painting here. Okay, so I'm going to leave this piece here. It is nothing like Harriet Backer's, of course. I wasn't trying to copy it so much as study it. It's in different mediums, and I'm working with the gouache, so it's lifting and all the things, but and I didn't sketch it out properly and get my relationships right. If I was going to do that, these sort of move up a bit. This one was a lot higher, and I have the more of the bird than fits in my space, and so on. But anyway, none of that's important. What's important is that I spent that time really looking and thinking about how she created these fruits with the lost edges. So I have some of the lost edges and the reflections, and then just like these gestural lines that sort of indicate where it would be, the hot color over the top, and I might make that a bit hotter as it dries. Sort of here, the lost edges as the shadow side of this fruit disappears with the table. The way she came back in with this color, and then it sort of loosely, I didn't deliberately do that, but just by doing it, I got the similar effect where some of the paint from the background sort of scattered into the jug just from the looseness of the brushwork, and the way you can see through some of these fruit to the other fruit and the background and so forth. Really interesting. I found it fascinating to really spend that time looking at her work and trying to get into her process a little bit of how she decided how to do that. And of course, this is a little piece of, let me pull it up again. It's a little piece of a bigger piece, and the eyes fill in the gaps. You don't have to show it all. So here is the piece that it is. And you know, it's part of all of this stuff. You don't really sort of focus in on those details. Well, I obviously did when I was there because it was fascinating. Even when I was drawing this, like, I didn't even realize. I thought that I was drawing like, I thought that was like a vase and that was its bulbous bit. But now that I've pulled out again, I can see that it's actually, that's the shadow reflection and that's the saucer underneath the plant. Isn't that fascinating? I had no idea. No idea, but yeah, I just think it's just amazing. So yeah, in the piece itself, the brain fills those colors in, and I love the way that it works. So anyway, I hope you had fun with that. I hope you take a good look at Harriet Backer's work, and also, you know, do an exercise like this, a small detail of another artist that you or a piece that you admire, and just play and not try to copy it, but to study it. It's about the study, not the copying. We're not trying to replicate it. We're trying to learn. We're trying to take bits away. And, you know, I think when she painted this, especially here, she put this fruit in after she put that one in. So she didn't need to paint it all, and you can see through it to underneath. And there's some little ideas like that that I'm going to be taking forward into my still lives when I'm doing them. Love the lost edges, love the loose brushwork. Yeah. Thank you for watching.